where you stand, like I'm holding a match to the bridge here in my hand. I pull away when it starts to feel like quicksand. I cover up my panic with the well laid out plan. Feels like every beginning has an already planned end. Welcome to Problematica. Here we go again. Here we go again.
What's up, everybody? I know. I did not ghost you, right? This is classic avoidant behavior. But no, I did not ghost you. Life has been lifing. Have been dealing with some health concerns, getting them under control. Apparently, I was ghosting the physician's office for a bit too long. So that's getting under control. And of course, I'm finalizing or finishing up a semester or two before I move into being a candidate for my PhD program, meaning my dissertation begins officially. I've been working on it since I started the program, but officially with the committee and everything else. All that to say, avoidants don't just ghost their significant other or switch situationships, because did we ever make it to the significant other? I don't know. But we do this in other areas of our lives. Now, I was not doing that with the podcast. Like I said, I was just crazy, underwater, and busy. But I'm back, and at full capacity, almost. I was suffocating from the inside, literally. So, medication and supplements, and I'm back. Now, with the coming back, I was perusing, researching, doom scrolling, and came across a word or a phrase that they said, they meaning collective body of people who really don't like avoidant attachment people. Valid, but they called something ghost lighting, right? So we know gaslighting is when individuals are in a connection with somebody who is trying to make them question their own credibility, right? Ghostlighting apparently is when somebody leaves and comes back to the relationship. I call that being a zombie, right? Returning from the dead, zombieing, but I guess the phrase on the streets is ghostlighting. So I wanted to talk about that, but in my falling down the rabbit hole, I saw some other statements and using Reddit, and I'll the Reddits that I will identify in this episode I'll post so you can kind of read the interaction. And again, it depends on how you're listening to this pod. You know, if you're listening to it as somebody who is avoidant attached or has that attachment style, or somebody who thinks they might, or somebody who is dealing with the carnage that was left by avoidant attachment. And I wouldn't even say left, because they always resurface, right? Hence the phrase ghost lighting. Sounds like ghost writing. But one of the Reddits I came across, the individual asked, it's emotional intelligence is the person who posted it, said, people with avoidant attachment style, do you miss people, or do you genuinely not care? And that's a really good question, right? Because again, I have a unique situation. I have been in a relationship with an avoidant attachment, and myself, going through my therapy journey, learned that I myself have had avoidant attachment behaviors. And again, working on that. And I'm a caveat this, because if you're listening to this from the viewpoint of somebody who is dealing with an avoidant attached partner, I'm telling you straight up, there needs to be accountability for the behavior. Absolutely. I'm telling you straight up, there probably needs to be some therapy. 100%. Okay, so this is not an excuse for the behavior. It's an explanation in some senses, and helps you navigate if this is something you really want to deal with long term, because it is a process. Somebody doesn't just wake up as avoidant attached, and somebody doesn't just wake up as it's cured. It's a process. So back to the question, people with an avoidant attachment style, do you miss people or do you genuinely not care? So I can only speak from my experience. And from my experience, I absolutely miss the person. Yes. So short answer is yes. The challenge comes in when and there's a spectrum, right? It's a continuum. When somebody has avoidant attachment behaviors, they're not just all the negative aspects of that behavior style. Some people have certain types and certain traits and certain behaviors, and I'll talk about that in another episode. But from my experience, for me, going into a situation thinking somebody's going to disappoint you and then they do, it just feeds into that thought process. And now, when you say and they do, again, everybody's avoidant attachment style doesn't show up the same way. So for me, I don't go in thinking the person is going to do something to upset me. I don't go in thinking I'm going to bounce. I fully have an awareness that in my past, I've always kept one foot out the door, right? Avoiding labels. And I used to say, oh, it's probably because I have an Aquarius Venus placement, or I'm on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces, and Aquarians don't like labels. Um, but I also know it was a way to keep one foot out the door. So not fully present, but there wasn't a desire to leave, right? It was just an escape plan if needed, right? Pull if needed. So when and if I choose to step away, before it would just be a step away. Now I have a conversation. Like, this isn't feeling good, or this is not going in a good or great space. And I name the behavior. So if you're an avoidant out there, this part's for you. So I just gave some for the partners. But if you're the avoidant, this part's for you. If you have consistently left and not spoken, not have communication, that's one area you're going to have to work on. If a relationship is what you want, because there's two different types, right? You have people who absolutely are wanting to be in a relationship. I think there is a misunderstanding of people who have avoidant attachment don't want to be in a relationship. You have a section that don't. They don't, for whatever reason. It could be they know they need to do work on themselves. They don't trust relationships. They just don't want to be in them, right? You have that section. That section's going to be more challenging to deal with because they don't want what you want. And then you have the section that wants to be in a committed relationship. So I'm talking to that group. If you're an avoidant who doesn't want a relationship, I'm probably sure you're not going to want to. What's the point of listening to the podcast? But if you're an avoidant who wants one, this is where communication comes into play, and making sure that you understand that that's a foundational piece, and not just communicating back and forth day to day, because avoidants have a tendency to kind of maybe go a few days without speaking, right? When things get too intense, or I share too much information, or I show too much vulnerability, so I have to go back to my cave for a couple days. That's where the change in behavior needs to happen. That's where we have to communicate, right? Something that occurred has made me uncomfortable, so I need a moment, whatever that moment is, and have that conversation with your partner, because if this person is somebody you want to be in a relationship with, you don't want to purposely hurt that person. So again, for avoidants who want to be in a relationship, for avoidants who actually do miss the people or the person when they leave, you have to communicate. Why are you feeling uncomfortable? What's going on that's causing you to feel that you need to pull back? And yes, it might be uncomfortable in the beginning, because any new behavior is. But if you continue to practice it, it gets less and less uncomfortable. And I can speak from experience with that. I was one who felt me being nonchalant like I said, and I think the previous podcast was a flex, right? I can just bounce. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not a whiny baby. Um, no, now I talk. I don't like it when this happened. This made me feel like this. I felt like this when this happened. I'm going to need a moment to process what occurred. Allow me that moment, and at a predetermined time frame, we can talk about it again. And that's a key issue too. You can't just say I need a moment and bounce, because if that person is used to you bouncing, that person's going to be like, oh well, they're gone for the next 2 to 3 months, and now that other person's dysregulated. And there's something called co-regulation, and I'm gonna put some information in the Substack about this. Running might actually be the worst thing you can do, because if your partner, and again, this is to the avoidant attachment person, if your partner is a stable entity, is a foundational piece in your life, staying connected with that person is actually helpful. And it's something called co-regulation, right? When you are feeling off, or about to run, or scared, or threatened, really, because it's threatened. It's the fight or flight aspect, and it's the flight that is happening. Some people stay in it, right? What if you're married to an avoidant? They stay there, but they're mentally checked out. That's still a flight because they're mentally not there. But staying, even though it might be uncomfortable or scary, co-regulation, meaning somebody's calmness, their ability to help you ground. You're using their regulation to come out of dysregulation, right? And that's the partnership. So if you have somebody who is you're a stable person in your life, and that partner is really wanting to do the work, and they're doing, and they're putting up with your crap. Let's be real. Actually staying is what helps, not the running. Like I said, I'll talk more about co-regulation in a video, or some information. Then as I kept scrolling, again, that's that part. So for me, yeah, in the past when I've done that, I have generally missed the person. But again, with me, and I guess with other avoidance, something has occurred to make me step away. So there's that. Then I kept scrolling, and I got to one of the Reddits that said, and this is Austria friend. People with the avoidant attachment style are monsters. They're monsters. That's what the heading is. And no, we're not. We behaviors. And I'll say I'm a recovering avoidant attachment. Like I'm not saying I'm fully wearing the badge. But do I have the T-shirt? I do. I do. Would I consider myself a monster? Absolutely not. Now, people who have been with avoidant attachment individuals, especially ones who don't want a relationship, it could feel that way. Because sometimes, and again, speaking from experience, sometimes they'll say stuff or do things to make you want to leave, right? So it's kind of like a meme from back in the day when someone says, if we ever break up, you'll have to leave me first. And that's kind of like the kiss of death. So some avoidant attachment behaviors show up where they are so difficult that you actually have to leave them so they don't look like the bad guy. Now, there's probably other things going on with that person. The avoidant attachment style is just one of them. So the key thing here is really determining what you're dealing with. Okay, if you can identify as you're avoidant attached, you have an avoidant attachment style, or B, your partner has an avoidant attachment style, you want to determine what group they're going to fall in. Are they the group that wants a relationship, that wants to do the work? Because if they're in the other group that doesn't want a relationship, that doesn't want to do the work, I'm going to be 100% with you right now. It's not going to get better. It's not. So you would have to ask yourself this question. If you have an avoidant attachment partner who does not want to be in a relationship and they're just kind of there reaping the rewards of you, and they are not doing the work to address it, that might be as good as it gets. And is that what you want? No shade here. This is your life. I'm just letting you know probabilities here. Which is funny because I hate stats and I'm in a class right now with it in there. But I digress. Now, if you are with an avoidant attachment style individual who actually wants to be in a relationship with you, wants to do the work and showing that they're doing the work, that's the key issue, right? That's the glue that sticks everything together. You can be with an avoidant attachment that wants to be with you, that hurts when they hurt you, that misses you when they leave, that wants to do the work, but they're not doing it. They're not. There's no evidence of it. They're doing the same behaviors. They're doing the same running behaviors, the same ghost lighting behaviors, not communicating, but they say they want to do the work. So it really comes into that actions speak louder than words, right? Don't talk about it, be about it. And that's where the person in that relationship has to put some boundaries down and stick to them. So that was a lot. And I'm definitely going to work on my consistency now that some of the things that I have been dealing with over the past month or so are getting resolved. So thank you for that, Grace. And again, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. So what we covered in this quick little pod was identifying who you're dealing with. What do you want? What are you going to be able to tolerate if you're the partner? And if you're an avoidant, what are you doing today that's going to change how you show up in relationships tomorrow? And an exercise for avoidance that you can do is look at your past relationships and see where there's some common threads. And that's going to give you your blueprint or your starting spot on what needs to be addressed or looked at. So thank you for listening. I know it's so problematic. But check out some of the information we'll put out again about what co-regulation is, and also some signs of an avoidant attachment that people really don't identify. Because somebody might be listening as a partner and then see some of these signs and realize I might have some of that as well. Because again, I was on the side where avoidant attachment are the worst people alive until I got on my therapy journey and realized I myself was on the other side of the fence. So I'll put that out there. And again, the goal is just to provide education that's not only evidence-based, but lived experience, and hopefully allow some individuals to heal their wound that keeps them avoidant, and help partners who are walking the journey or choosing to walk the journey, because it's a hell of a walk. I'm going to be 100%. It's a hell of a walk. So kudos and applause to you. So until next time, which I promise won't be in another month, I'm going to try to get these out as consistent as possible because, yeah, like I just told myself, don't talk about it, be about it. So hopefully we'll see you again. I'll probably try to push this out beyond Substack because I'm just seeing a lot of people who are hurting who might be able to benefit from this outside of the Substack ecosystem. So until then, you all take care, stay safe, and stop running. You might like where you are, you want to stay.